12 spine-chilling stories of sinister moms. The night their dark side was revealed, Jess was exhausted. Each day bled into the next, juggled between taking Timmy to school and working late shifts at the diner. As she sat on her porch, watching the warm glow of her neighbors' lights flicker out one by one, she felt the comfort of community slip through her fingers. Recently, a dangerous whisper had begun to deceive the friendly suburban facade. A darkness stirred beneath the tinkling laughter of afternoon playdates and the sweet aroma of freshly baked cookies. It was Mrs. Kessler, the perfect PTA leader whose seemingly innocent gatherings had morphed into clandestine meetings that took place under the veil of darkness. She overheard hushed whispers among the moms missing cats, strange dreams, children wandering with glazed expressions. Each story filled Jess with a gnawing fear that wove its way into her overburdened mind. One night, returning home from a grueling shift, Jess noticed the flickering glow from Mrs. Kessler's home. A wave of disquiet washed over her as laughter bubbled up from within, laughter that felt wrong, like joy turned grotesque. She shook her head, convinced it was just the exhaustion playing tricks. Yet, the sight of familiar faces lurking in shadows, their smiles too wide, too eager, sent icy chills swirling in her stomach. The next day, silence reigned over the school where whispers transformed into dread. Her fellow parents exchanged anxious glances, and Jess could practically feel the weight of unspoken fears clinging to the air. "What is going on?" she asked her friend Jane, but Jane merely shrugged, a look of unease shadowing her features. Jess's heart raced with unease. She felt her instincts scream at her as if they were bathed in some primal warning light. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Compelled by a nagging urgency, Jess decided to follow Mrs. Kessler that night. The neighborhood, once a reliable sanctuary, morphed under the veil of night. Shadows danced, twisting her perception, every rustle in the bush a possible threat. She followed the sounds, her breath quickening, the chill in the air tightening around her throat. The haunting laughter echoed, pulling her into an insidious grip. As she braced herself under the dim light of street lamps, Jess's blood ran cold. When she finally gleaned the truth, Jess felt her world shatter. The charming mothers she had known and shared coffee with were no longer innocent. They were gathered in ritual, drawn together by a dark force steeped deep in the folklore of the area. They were channeling a twisted power, weaponizing motherly love as fuel for some relentless hunger. The realization slammed into her, chilling her blood as she staggered back. What had she stumbled into? A menacing game where trust had become a weapon and innocence a casualty. The night pressed down upon her as fear punched through her chest. She fled, her heart pounding as she raced through the streets that had once cradled her dreams. It was too late. Shadows followed her, dark figures dancing just out of her sight. Panic clawed at her insides, each frantic step swallowed by the oppressive night. As the dread swirled around her like a storm, Jess turned back just in time to see the twisted faces of the mothers now drained of humanity, a chilling nightmare echoing in a chorus of unholy love. In that moment, she realized that the most terrifying danger loomed not in the darkness of the night but rather within the faces of those she thought were her allies. With one final desperate call, she shouted Timmy's name, the sound echoing against the oppressive silence of the neighborhood, the only remaining tether to the light she so desperately sought. What awaited her next? Would she find a way to protect her son from the horrors brewing in her own backyard? The shadows coiled around Jess as she stumbled backward, dread clawing at her throat. Each step felt like it might send her tumbling into madness, swallowed by the terror she could hardly comprehend. She turned and ran, heart racing, the dark figures lurking behind only becoming clearer in her mind's eye. The mothers, those familiar faces twisted into something grotesque, taunted her with laughter that sliced through the night, a sinister song of triumph. "Timmy!" She gasped, the name echoing in her ears as she sprinted toward her home. The warmth of her front porch was a distant memory now, a flickering flame she feared might be extinguished forever. With each frantic step, she cursed herself for not recognizing the signs sooner, for ignoring the guilt-ridden joy that seeped from Mrs. Kessler's gatherings. As she rounded the corner, a figure darted in her peripheral vision. Jess skidded to a halt, panic igniting deep within her. It was a small girl, no older than 6, staring blankly with wide eyes that shimmered like glass. Jess felt her stomach tighten. She knew this child. It was Nora, Mrs. Kessler's daughter, her face always adorned with innocence. But now, Nora's mouth opened, revealing a chilling emptiness. "Help us," the girl whispered, her voice barely audible, like the rustle of wind through dead leaves. The words dripped with sorrow and desperation, freezing Jess in place. The memory of warmth and family vanished as she gazed into the hollow visage. "They took our dreams, our smiles, please, she needs you, stop," Jess shouted, her own voice trembling in the stillness. The laughter once so sweet from the confines of Kessler's home echoed, drowning out Nora's whispers. "What do you mean?" But before Jess could get an answer, the girl was engulfed by the shadows, swallowed whole just like the joy she once knew. That heart-stopping sight snapped Jess back to reality, and she surged forward, her feet moving with an urgency that bordered on frantic. Nora's plea echoed in her mind. Timmy needed her. She raced up her porch steps, throwing open the door with a ferocity that shook the frame. Inside, her home felt suffocating, shadows gathering in every corner. The kitchen light flickered, like it was trying to warn her. "Timmy!" she called, every nerve taut with fear. Silence answered. Jess's heart sank deeper, each beat a painful reminder of the danger closing in. She dashed through the house, checking rooms, slamming doors open and shut, each search more desperate than the last. Her chest tightened. No. Not him, please, not Timmy. Then, from the bathroom, a broken sound echoed, a giggle, wet and eerie. It chilled her, snaking down her spine. Jess rushed in, pushing the door wide. The tub was full, water dark and still under the unforgiving glare of the fluorescents. "Timmy." A shadow lurked in the water, rising and falling gently. Jess's heart seized as she stepped closer, half dreading, half hoping. As she peered into the murky depths, she saw not her son but a black shape coiling, like the night itself had spilled into the tub. She stumbled back, horrified, as a wave of cold enveloped her. The shape seemed to pulsate, expanding and contracting rhythmically, and from it came the soft, seductive whispers of the mothers, the laughter of Mrs. Kessler growing louder. "Jess! Join us! We are one! Don't you understand, it's for him?" She swayed on her feet, drawn toward the water, the words enveloping her like a warm blanket, promising safety, unity, love. But then she saw Nora's face again, a reminder of innocence lost. With a sudden surge of clarity, Jess tore her gaze away, stepping back as dread solidified into a fierce resolve. Not today, she thought. She wouldn't let that darkness take her son. As she turned, dread clawed at her sides, anticipating the confrontation. "Timmy," she cried, her voice cracking in the still air, every syllable igniting the fire of maternal instinct within her. She stepped back into the living room, heart hammering. What would she find when she faced the source of this unspeakable menace? Unbeknownst to Jess. Behind her, the shadows stirred, waiting in the silence, like predators poised to strike. The battle for her son's soul had just begun. Jess's breath came in ragged bursts, a drumroll of fear that echoed in the stillness of her home. All around her, the shadows absorbed the dim light, deepening the space into a sunless chasm. She could feel their presence, an oppressive weight, a tightening in the air. Fear gripped her tighter than ever. Timmy. She had to find him. But where? Each room she had just searched mocked her now, its emptiness resonating like a cruel joke. Timmy. She called again, her voice rising in pitch with desperation. The distorted laughter swelled, surrounding her. Mrs. Kessler's voice rang out, ripe with glee, taunting her from beyond the tangible. "He is safe with us, Jess. Come join your son. We offer what you cannot." "Shut up!" Jess screamed, the anger fracturing the spell of fear encasing her. She staggered into the living room, hands trembling, searching frantically for any sign of life. The couch, the toys scattered on the floor, they felt foreign now, transformed by darkness. Suddenly, the laughter stopped, leaving an unholy silence that pulsated around her. Jess strained to hear anything, any sound that might hint where Timmy was, but nothing broke through the void. And then, from deeper within the recesses of her home, came a soft whimper. A familiar sound she recognized instinctively. It was Timmy. Timmy. Her heart surged with hope, but it quickly chilled again, a wellspring of dread pooling in her gut. What kind of danger was lurking? She dashed toward the sound, her feet silently navigating through the darkened hallway, edged by the growing shadows. "Mommy!" Timmy's cry was a fragile thread of sound, laced with panic. Each syllable twisted with the weight of terror, cutting through her heart like a knife. She threw open the door to his room. Darkness greeted her. The window was covered, a makeshift curtain obscuring any light from entering. "Timmy!" she cried, stepping in, but the room felt alive with an unnatural energy. "Mommy!" This time it came from the closet. Jess lunged toward it, gripping the handle as fear gripped her throat. She flung the door open, expecting to see Timmy curled up inside. But instead, it was the sight of 1,000 eyes reflecting the dim light that greeted her, tiny, shimmering, glowing in the dark, all staring back at her with a hunger she recognized too well. "Let him go!" Jess roared, backing away slowly, her heart racing, her mind frantically searching for a way out of this abyss. But the voices were rising around her, layered into a cacophony. "Join us, Jess. We can help you forget." Ignoring them, she felt her hand grasp the doorframe, the wood splintering under her grip. "Timmy!" With a burst of adrenaline, she tore through the darkness to the back of the closet. And there he was, huddled against the wall, his small body shaking with fear, eyes wide and moist. But the shadows around him were dark and sharp, clawing at his essence, threatening to pull him into their maw. "Mommy!" Timmy sobbed, reaching out. "I'm scared." Before she could respond, the laughter returned, a shrill melody echoing through their home. Mrs. Kessler materialized in the doorway, her face twisted, joy gleaming in her hollow eyes. "Join us, Jess. Just take his place." Time stopped. Jess felt a pull, a magnetic force drawing her toward Mrs. Kessler, but more importantly toward Timmy. The swirling darkness pressed in tightly, urging her to surrender to the madness, to become part of the mother's sinister union. "Run!" Jess shouted to Timmy, "Run and don't look back." The fear surged within, mingled with a newfound ferocity. She raced toward him, ready to shield him from the encroaching nightmare. But just as her fingers reached his small hand, the shadows attacked, lashing out like whips, slamming her back against the wall with a violent blow. "Mommy!" Timmy cried, terror flooding his voice, the laughter of the mothers now drowning him in despair. It echoed around Jess, twisting her reality further. The women were coalescing in the doorway, incoherent whispers mixing with their laughter. Jess's breath caught as she strained against the darkness. Determined to fight back, to save her son. In the acute moment of fear and rage, a thought flickered in her mind: if she couldn't remove the shadows, then she would destroy what held their power. With renewed determination, she surged forward, willing the energy of maternal love to combat the consuming despair. What would her sacrifice be? As she lunged toward Timmy, shadows screeched around her, their voices rising, drowning out everything else. And then silence. In that moment of frozen clarity, Jess wondered, would it be enough? But as the shadows rippled, they whispered one last, chilling promise that echoed in her ears: "This is just the beginning, Jess." What lay ahead would be a darkness she never expected. Jess's heart hammered in her chest, a relentless drumbeat echoing through the profound silence. It felt like the calm before the storm or the eye of it, and an icy feeling slithered down her spine. She was caught in a world trembling on the brink of chaos. The shadows surged forward, undulating like a living thing, tugging at her limbs, coaxing her to surrender. "Join us, Jess," they sang, their voices smooth and enticing. "We've waited so long." "No." She shook her head violently, fighting against their whispers. Keeping her focus on Timmy, she felt the rage and love intertwine within her. She would not give in. With a fierce resolve, she crouched down to Timmy's level, pushing through the pain that radiated from her back where the shadows had struck her. "I'm right here, baby. I want to let them take you." Timmy's face was pale, streaked with tears, his little body trembling as he whimpered softly. "Mommy, I can't see them, please, help me." The shadows tightened around him, pulling at his legs as if they sought to drag him down into an endless abyss. Jess gritted her teeth, summoning every ounce of courage left in her. There had to be a way to fight them. She planted her feet firm against the floor, feeling its coolness grounding her, and took a deep breath. "Timmy, reach for me." Her voice was fierce, cutting through the murmur of darkness. She could feel the energy building, surging beneath the surface, ready to explode. Timmy stretched out his hand, small and desperate, his fingers trembling as they found hers. The connection was electric. She could feel the essence of his fear, but more than that, she felt his hope mingling with her own. As their hands locked together, the shadows recoiled slightly, hissing like snakes. Jess clenched her jaw, pushing harder against the darkness. "We are stronger together," she shouted, straining against the oppressive force as she drew Timmy closer. The noise around them intensified, shadows contorting and writhing, desperate to reclaim their prize. "Let him go!" Jess screamed, flooding the air with fury. The shadows shrieked, their laughter fading into snarls. Then Jess remembered the old stories her own mother had told her late at night, the legends of mothers defending their children at all costs. "I am your mother, Timmy," she yelled. "And I will fight for you. The power of love will break this curse." In that moment, a fierce light sparked within her, radiating out from where they were connected. It pulsed like a heartbeat, the shadows momentarily stilled, their malice quivering. Jess pushed it outward, ready to weave a tapestry of protection and strength around them both. The grotesque faces of the figures began to melt away, replaced by the echoes of her ancestors, mothers long past who had fought the same darkness. "We stand with you," they whispered through the chaos. But then, darkness thickened again, more ferocious, its grip squeezing around them. "You think love can save you?" Mrs. Kessler's voice slashed through the air, sharp and mocking. "It's just a word. You have no power here." Jess felt her stomach drop. The intensity of the shadows doubled, clawing at her mind, pushing her to the very brink of despair. "Timmy!" she gasped, fear coiling tightly around her heart. Could she really protect him? The shadows twisted closer, darkness threading through the air with a rasping breath. "Join us, or lose him, Jess." Desperation clawed at her throat. She had to make a choice. Was there truly hope against this relentless nightmare? "Mommy!" Timmy cried again, a wail that cut so deep it felt like glass shattering inside her chest. With all her strength pooling at her fingertips, Jess shouted, "I want to let you take him. I choose love." And in that moment, she leaped toward the heart of the shadows, propelled by the raw power of motherhood, ready to confront the darkness that threatened to swallow them whole. But as she dove into the inky void, a single thought flashed through her mind: what more must I sacrifice? In answer, the shadows surged back, drenching them in a cold wave of despair. The world twisted around Jess, suffocating her with an overwhelming darkness. The cold seeped into her bones as the shadows loomed above, swirling like a storm about to break. She grasped Timmy's hand with a vice-like grip. "Stay with me," she yelled, her voice strained but defiant. There was no way she would let him go. Not now. The darkness seethed, taunting her, its icy fingers flicking against her skin, biting into her flesh. "Is this all you've got?" The shadows laughed, a chilling symphony of derision that echoed through the room, drowning out all hope. She could barely hear her own heartbeat above their mocking. "Mommy, I'm scared." Timmy's voice trembled, and Jess could feel his fear radiating through their connection, sharp and raw. It twisted in her stomach like a dagger. She squeezed his hand tighter, pouring every ounce of strength she had into that small palm, into him. "I'm here. You've got to be brave for me." The light within her flickered, but it felt fragile. "Bravery is pointless," hissed the shadows, edging closer, filling her lungs with darkness. "You think your love can shield you here? How naive." The air thickened, making it hard to breathe. "No." Jess's scream tore from her throat. "It's the only thing that matters." As she fought against the encroaching nightmare, she noted the shadows shift. They pulled back momentarily, intrigued, assessing. She seized the moment, a spark igniting deep within her, a new revelation sparked amidst despair. "Timmy, listen. If we can confront them together, if we can show them that our bond is real, maybe we can chase them away." Okay, the resolve in Timmy's voice flickered like a candle in a storm, but it was enough to fuel her spirits. "On the count of 3, we shout together. 1, 2, 3. We are stronger together." Their voices rang out, reverberating against the darkness. Jess felt their combined will surging forward, crashing against the shadows like a tidal wave. For a moment, the shadows shrieked, their sinister laughter turning into cries of frustration. The pressure around them quaked, vibrating with energy, but Jess pressed forward, anchoring her love in that moment, channeling it toward Timmy and the menacing darkness. But just as she felt momentum shift, a familiar face appeared amidst the shadows, Mrs. Kessler looming with a sinister grin, eyes glinting with malice. "Love is so sweet, isn't it? But it can become your greatest weakness." The shadows twisted anxiously around her, as if they could smell the fear rising from Jess. "You're nothing without him, Jess. Everything you love can be taken away." A chill raced down Jess's spine. "No, I won't let you." But doubt crept in, whispering lies into her mind like a lingering fog. Could she really protect him? The shadows pressed in again, and she felt the light within her dimming, flickering like some weak flame fighting against the plunge into night. "Timmy!" Jess cried, panic clawing at her throat. "We have to fight. We can't let her win." "I'm trying, Mommy." They were caught in a tempest of shadows, every fiber of Jess pleading for escape. They were losing ground, the echoes of laughter circling around them like vultures watching their prey. The shadows struck, and Jess braced for the pain, every fiber of her being stretched thin. "You will sacrifice him, or you will be devoured yourself." "No!" Jess roared. The light inside her surged again as the shadows rushed closer, their insatiable hunger palpable. With a surge of desperation, a single thought echoed in her mind, louder than the chaos surrounding them. "What do I need to sacrifice?" As the shadows consumed her vision, a glimmer of hope flashed. What if the answer lay within the darkness, or the truth Timmy still may not know? All in a heartbeat, Jess felt the walls of despair crashing down, and against the pull of shadows, she clung to the last threads of her will. What was hidden within this nightmare, and could it be their only salvation? Jess's heart raced, the cold fingers of the creeping shadows tightening around her throat. Timmy's warm hand felt fragile in hers, but she would not let go, not now. The chilling laughter of Mrs. Kessler sliced through her mind, taunting her with promises of lost love and pain. "You have to dig deeper, Jess," the whispers hissed, echoing in the corners of her consciousness. "Timmy!" she shouted, stubbornly squaring her shoulders against the encroaching gloom. "We need to find out what she is hiding." Mrs. Kessler's face twisted, shadows wrapping around her like a cloak, a confident facade masking a deeper fear. "You think you can turn their power against me? You are mistaken, little girl," she sneered. "Run into the darkness long enough, and the dark will consume you both." The maddening laughter from the shadows reverberated in Jess's skull, amplifying her fear. A potent rage surged through her, love twisted into anger, and she would not let it be wasted here. Listen to me, Timmy. We have to pull strength from our memories, from every moment we've shared. Like the park? He whispered, fear knocking against his voice. Exactly. The times we laughed, when you took your first steps, every hug, they're all ours. Let us take that power and push back. Okay. Timmy shouted, his resolve building. Jess could feel the shift in their bond, warmth radiating from their hands, igniting brightly, pushing against the shadows that dared to smother them. They focused, drawing into their memories, each cherished moment swirling around them, brighter than the darkness that threatened to steal it all. On three again. Jess declared, this time a fervent blaze boiling within her. 1, 2, 3. Our love is light. They shouted together, the words cutting through the darkness, booming like thunder. The shadows shrieked, retreating, their twisted forms dissipating into wisps of black smoke that dissipated in the air like echoes of distant screams, but then, Mrs. Kessler lunged forward, her eyes blazing with anger. You think love can save you? That you can simply shout away a force like me? Jess's heart sank. There was something deeper, some undisclosed truth within that darkness. What do you know? She demanded, every ounce of defiance in her voice. You're not invincible. Ah, but the cost of knowledge is pain, she taunted, that sinister grin widening. Will you risk it? The shadows swarmed again, but Jess held tight to Timmy. There was a deep echo from the depths of her memory, a flicker of a conversation overheard long ago. An urgent tone, a hidden pain, something about not being known. What was it? Timmy, she gasped, thinking out loud. Remember what we talked about before bed, the story of Mama Kessler's boy? The one who suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, and the shadows began to swirl restlessly, as if something buried was clawing to the surface. Mrs. Kessler's expression soured, a flash of fear crossing her face. You don't know what you're awakening. Let it rest. But the shadows howled, twisting wildly, as though they fed off her desperation. Mommy, I'm scared. Timmy cried, clinging to her tighter. Stay strong. We need to expose her. Jess felt her voice shake, drowning in the tension of the moment. We can turn her darkness against her. And it struck her like a bolt of lightning, the truth. We have to find the truth that she hides. The shadows recoiled slightly, losing their grip as Jess pressed forward, not ready to accept defeat. Tell me what you need to know, or I will pull it all from you. With sudden resolve, she plunged into the swirling void of sensations, desperately searching for answers between the layers of cruel laughter. And somewhere in the depths, she felt it whisper back a chilling promise. What lies deeper within that darkness, and what truth would it reveal? What ghosts would rise, and whom would they drag along with them? Jess felt the pull, a dark gravity tugging at her very core as she dug deeper into the whispers. Each step into the void felt like stepping into quicksand, shadows curling around her ankles, pushing down with a horrifying weight. She gritted her teeth and closed her eyes, focusing on the warmth of Timmy's hand. It was now or never. Timmy, hold on tight. We're going to uncover her secret. Okay, his voice trembled, but there was trust shimmering in his eyes. Suddenly, the shadows flickered, morphing into images that painted the darkness. A boy small and frail, with eyes like Timmy's, distorted by pain. His laughter rang hollow, chased by a cruel echo of despair. Jess felt the bile rise in her throat, every laugh transformed into cries that clawed at her heart. Stop! Mrs. Kessler screamed, her voice slicing through the visions. You're playing with forces you don't understand. Then help us understand. Jess shouted back, stepping closer. A wave of fear washed over her, but anger ignited a counterblaze within. It's too late for that. You are only awakening his memories, Mrs. Kessler hissed, her voice laced with venom. You don't want to know what happened to him. You think you're protecting your boy, but the truth will destroy you both. I'd rather face the truth than be suffocated by your lies. The air thickened with tension, and shadows crackled with a life of their own, swarming closer, clawing at Jess's skin. More images burst forth, scenes playing out like an old film gone wrong. Mrs. Kessler's boy, trapped in the darkness, crying for help. His cries echoed around Jess, more horrifying than anything she had yet faced. "Jess! I don't like this." Timmy whimpered, his voice shaky, straining against the shadows that tightened around them. "Stay strong, Timmy." She grit her teeth. "We have to find the light within the dark." And with fierce determination, Jess shouted, "Show us what she fears. Show us the truth." Suddenly, the shadows convulsed, images flashing faster, blurring the line between time and reality. A memory surged forward so vividly that Jess felt herself being pulled. In the scene, she saw a dark room, the boy, bound to a chair, eyes wide with terror. Mrs. Kessler in the corner, shadowed yet unmistakable, her fingers twitching as if puppeteering his very fate. "Let us help him!" Jess screamed, propelling herself towards the truth, searching through the thick fog of despair. "We will not let you keep this." In an instant, the energy shifted. Mrs. Kessler writhed, face transforming with a primal rage. "You think you can just take him from me? You know nothing of loss." Ice gripped Jess's heart. "No. We are the ones who lost." She shouted back, anger dousing her fear. "You've manipulated that pain. You are no victor here." The shadows began to swirl violently, the very fabric of darkness trembling, revealing more of the horrific truth that Mrs. Kessler had buried deep inside herself. It was there. The small, broken boy, that flickering light of innocence begging for release, but then the shadows roared, pulling Jess and Timmy back, determined to reclaim the lost fragments. "No!" Jess cried, battling against the tide. She felt the heaviness of despair weigh down on her, shadows coiling around her, weaving a suffocating blanket of dread. Timmy squeezed her hand tighter. "Mommy, we're going to win, right?" Jess's heart raced. The truth was clawing its way to the surface. But the power of the darkness was fierce. The shadows whispered promises of despair, suffocating her spirit. "You'll never get what you want." They seemed to taunt, the battle was far from over. One misstep and they could be consumed. Jess's spirit flickered, caught between her determination and the abyss reaching out for them. What would emerge as they fought this relentless tide? What truths lay just out of reach, hovering in the dark? And would they have the strength to endure it all? The shadows swirled with increasing ferocity, threatening to swallow them whole. Jess felt the cold seep into her bones, her determination flaring in defiance against the impending despair. "Timmy, keep your eyes on me. Focus." The boy nodded, but his grip faltered. Fear was flickering in his young eyes, battling against the loud screams and haunting laughter that surrounded them. Each cry felt like the shadows were tugging at the fabric of their reality, dark strands twisting tighter around their hearts. "Let go of us," Jess demanded, feeling strength surge as she ripped the shadows off her skin like sticky paper. Each tug left a trace of terror, but she pressed on. "We are not afraid of you." In that moment of defiance, she noticed the vision starting to slow, the chaos giving way to clarity. She saw him again, the boy from the darkness. Bound and lost, an echo of what once was his face, a mirror of Timmy's innocence, now marred by despair. "He is still here, isn't he?" She whispered, pleading with the shadows to reveal the truth that Mrs. Kessler had buried. Then she sensed a shift. The shadows shrank back, caution rippling through them as if tested by her spirit. The screams dimmed and transformed into whispers, almost gentle, but laced with sorrow. "Help me, who are you?" Jess cried out, heart pounding. "What do you need?" Suddenly, the boy's figure solidified in the dim light, fading in and out like an old film. His eyes locked with hers, pleading for release. "Find me before she does. What do you mean?" Timmy's voice broke through, trembling beside his mother, wanting to protect her as much as she did him. "Before she finds me." The boy's image flickered, shadows clawing at him as if they wanted to drag him back into darkness. The air crackled with an electric tension, Jess's heart racing as she fought against the rising dread. Mrs. Kessler's rage echoed around them, a chilling reminder of the wretched darkness at hand. You don't understand what you're meddling with. His existence isn't something you can fix. Her face twisted in anguish, eyes hollow and desperate. Let us help him. Jess shouted, fueled with a fire that burned through the encroaching shadows. This cycle of pain can end. The boy's form flickered again, desperate anguish twisting his features. They keep saying they love me, but love doesn't hurt. The whispered plea broke Jess's heart, truth cutting deeper than any knife. Jess turned to Timmy, staking everything on his strength. We have to save him, Timmy. If we don't, his cries will haunt us forever. She could see Timmy's resolve hardening, his small frame trembling but fierce. Yeah. We can save him. He shouted with all the courage his voice could muster. In that moment, the shadows shrieked in fury, a maelstrom of darkness swirling around them. Shadows lunged, coiling tighter, an almost sentient force desperate to snuff out their hope. Then she felt at the faintest flicker of warmth within the gathering darkness. Jess squeezed Timmy's hand tightly, unwilling to yield. Show us the way to free him. We will find the light. The boy's figure shimmered once more, calling for them to follow. Hurry. She'll come for me. With a deep breath, Jess dove into the seething mass of swirling shadows, the boundaries of despair clawing at her feet. The boy's faint glow guided them deeper, and Jess felt the weight of darkness stretching to consume them whole. But somewhere in the dark could lie the ultimate truth. One step closer to their salvation, or one misstep into the abyss. Would Timmy and Jess unlock the mystery that bound the boy, or would they become lost in darkness forever? As they raced towards the flickering light, they didn't know how much time they had left. Mrs. Kessler was gaining strength, her voice slashing through the air, filled with raw pain. Don't you dare leave this place. You don't know how to handle what you're diving into. Jess's heart skipped, but they pressed on, following the glimmer. What awaited them at the center of this turmoil? Would they finally uncover the horrific secret, or would the shadows claim them? First. The light flickered like a moth's desperate dance, and Jess felt Timmy's grip tighten around her fingers. They pushed deeper into the swirling shadows, their hearts pounding as fear mingled with determination. Stay close, Timmy, Jess urged, her voice steadying, even as dread clawed at her insides. Suddenly, the boy's voice echoed once again, fragile and filled with urgency. This way. You have to hurry. The glow intensified, illuminating a clearing ahead, the darkness thinning just enough for them to see that as they approached the spot, reality warped around them. The shadows snapped and crackled like dry leaves underfoot, and Jess felt a cold breath sweep past her face. It held a stench of decay and despair, suffocating in its intensity. What is this place? Timmy whimpered, his innocent voice breaking the ethereal silence. It's where the lost go, the boy whispered, his form wavering. It's where I am trapped. Jess's chest tightened. She could see the outline of what lay ahead, a dilapidated house, cloaked in shadow, with broken windows that gaped like hollow eyes. A forgotten relic of memory. We need to get inside, she asserted, heart racing as she pulled Timmy along. But as they stepped closer, the air thickened, an electric charge prickled at their skin, urging them to turn back. No. We can't stop now. Jess shouted, rallying her own fear with fierce resolve. We will find a way to help you. The boy's glow flickered, desperation shimmering in his eyes. You don't understand. She'll be here soon, she knows. As if summoned by the warning, a shadow detached itself from the darkness, rising like smoke to reveal an unsettling figure. Mrs. Kessler emerged, her countenance twisted into a grotesque mask of rage and torment. Fools! You think you can save him? She hissed, her very presence making the shadows writhe and swirl. No one escapes her hold. Jess felt the air drop in temperature, the overwhelming weight of despair rebounding in her chest. "Leave him alone!" she shrieked, her voice slicing through the chaos. "He deserves freedom." "Freedom?" Mrs. Kessler laughed, a sound that curdled the blood in Jess's veins. "You think you can break this bond? Love is a prison, darling. He is mine." With a swift motion, darkness erupted around them. The shadows enveloped Jess and Timmy, tightening like a vice. They tumbled backward, the boy's glow dimming as it flickered against the encroaching black. "Find me." His voice echoed, fading like a distant memory. "Promise you'll find me before she breaks me," Timmy gasped beside her, eyes wide, confusion and terror pooling in their depths. "Mom, we can't let him go. We have to help him." Jess felt her heart squeeze painfully. "I know, Timmy, I know." She struggled against the shadows that were once again clawing at her limbs, dragging her deeper into the never-ending darkness. "We need to find a way to reach him. He's trapped, Timmy." And then, the shadows fell still, the piercing silence echoing their uncertainty. A moment of false hope arose as Jess spotted an old mirror hanging crookedly against the shattered wall of the house. It shimmered with an otherworldly light, beckoning her to look closer. "Do you see that?" She pointed, breathless. "It might hold the key." But as she inched closer, a wave of icy dread swept over her, forcing her to pause. The mirror warped the reflection that stared back immediately. She saw Timmy standing outside, the boy locked in an embrace with Mrs. Kessler, who was smiling cruelly, eyes glinting with malice. "No!" Jess screamed, horror solidifying in her chest. "That's not real. Timmy." Yet the fear in her voice paled compared to the mounting despair crushing her heart. What was the truth? If that wasn't Timmy outside, where was he? Would they be able to withstand this darkness, or would they too be consumed by the same shadows that had aimed to consume the lonely boy? As the chilling laughter of Mrs. Kessler echoed around them, Jess realized time was slipping away. The boy's whispered plea rang in her mind: find him before it was too late. Desperation surged like adrenaline. "Timmy. We need to break her hold. Together." She shouted, her heart racing as they faced the mirror once more. But was it too late? In a world warped by shadows, Jess wondered if they could turn back the tide or if the darkness would swallow them whole. Jess's heart thundered in her chest, fueled by fear and fierce determination. The mirror loomed before her, distorting reality into a twisted playground of darkness. "We're going to set you free," she shouted, her voice rising over the cacophony of shadows. With Timmy clutched tightly by her side, Jess took a deep breath, focusing on the flicker of hope that remained. "Timmy, we have to focus on our love. On the memories that matter." She could feel the warmth of his small hands anchoring her as they both stared into the depths of the mirror. "Mommy," Timmy quivered, looking up at her, eyes wide. "I'm scared." "I know," Jess said soothingly, warmth flooding her voice. "But fear doesn't have to rule us. Together, our love can break through this darkness." The shadows sneered, swirling closer as Mrs. Kessler's laughter echoed ominously. "Fools! You think love can conquer despair? How naive." Suddenly, time warped around them. The mirror flickered again, revealing splintered snippets of Joy Timmy's first steps, laughter at the park, bedtime stories filled with laughter and love. Jess clung to those moments, remembering the embrace of family, the warmth of home. The flickers grew brighter, challenging the encroaching darkness. "Can you feel it, Timmy?" she asked, intensity building in her chest. "Every joyful moment gives us strength. We are more than this fear." "Yes, Mommy," Timmy exclaimed, standing taller. He squeezed her hand, a small spark igniting within them. Jess joined the energy, their bond pulsing with defiance against the shadows. "On 3. Jess declared, resolute. 1, 2, 3. We are love." Their voices roared together, echoing fiercely through the dim space. The sound rippled through the darkness, causing it to quiver and pull back. The shadows hissed in protest, a fierce wind spiraling around them. Jess felt the strength surging within her as that shared energy pushed forward. The reflections in the mirror twisted and churned, becoming more vivid, revealing the tormented boy trapped within the folds of despair. She could see him struggling against the shadows that threatened to consume his very essence. Remember, love isn't just a word. It's a power that can set you free. Jess shouted, channeling every ounce of her will. Suddenly, the boy's gaze locked onto Jess. You have to hurry. She'll break me. His voice trembled, desperate but filled with hope. With every ounce of energy fueling her heart, Jess lunged forward, reaching for the shimmering mirror. Just then, Mrs. Kessler erupted angrily from the shadows. No! She screeched, fury distorting her features. You cannot set him free. Though fear clawed at her stomach, Jess stood defiantly. I want to let you take him. She yelled, feeling a torrent of love surging between her and Timmy, binding them into one radiant force. Timmy! She called, instinctively knowing they had to harness their connection. Together, once more. Timmy nodded, determination flooding his small frame. Together. On three again. 1, 2, 3. Love is strength. They shouted, voices intertwined, building into a crescendo of light against the dark. In a flash, a blinding beam of light burst from them, radiating outward a lighthouse in the tempest of shadows. The darkness writhed and screeched, retreating from the pulsing energy. Jess felt the boy's presence draw closer, suddenly illuminating the chaos. Find me. He cried once more from the grasp of shadows, now flickering and faltering in the wake of Jess and Timmy's liberating force. As the shadows closed in one last time, Jess's heart raced. This was the moment, the culmination of all their love, all their memories. And they had to reach for him. She thrust her hands towards the mirror, aiming for the flickering light. As they forged ahead, for one haunting moment, Jess glimpsed the boy's fear and pain. Heavy chains bound him to the dark. We're here. We want to let you go. Jess screamed, and they surged forward, unified in their strength. In that instant, Timmy's laughter mingled with hers, a sweet sound that echoed like a battle cry, rupturing the bond of despair. The shadows twisted, shrieking as light broke through, illuminating everything in its path. In a flash of brilliance, the nightmare faded, the darkness scattering in every direction, leaving only shimmering fragments of light. Jess and Timmy stumbled forward, their hearts racing, the empty void now filled with warmth and joy. The boy's figure materialized before them, no longer bound by the shadows. Thank you, he whispered, relief flooding his tired eyes. You saved me. Jess knelt down, pulling her son and the boy into her embrace, protective and fierce. You're free now. Together, we're always stronger, she breathed, tears of relief streaming down her cheeks. Behind them, Mrs. Kessler's shrieks echoed in the distance, fading into nothingness, unable to bear the light. Jess turned, watching as the last vestiges of shadow dissipated. The nightmare turned into mere whispers of lost souls. The boy's face brightened with a smile, a memory finally free. You showed me what love can do. Yes, Jess whispered, her heart swelling with emotion. And love will always conquer darkness. As she pulled Timmy closer, relief washed over her, certainty settling in her heart. They were alive, they were free, and the shadows would never return to steal what was theirs again. They stepped back together into the light, hearts intertwining, ready to embrace a world filled with love and hope. And Jess knew, deep within, that whatever darkness lingered, they would face it together. Don't wait even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss upcoming exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. The love you show makes a real difference. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. I want to hear all your thoughts. And instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this thrilling conclusion. You need to subscribe now to be part of this incredible journey.